So what this means is that they can actually use this 5G to permanently keep this thing powered and track your movements no matter where you go. Uh, 5G is the big subject, and of course, many people are, so against it. In fact, there are normal people that you would not ever think would even think about this kind of stuff, completely fighting as hard as they can to not have this come to their neighborhood. People are like, keep those towers away from my kids. People are up in arms. I heard that one suburban mother basically torched a car of something, basically of the person that was suggesting they put 5G in her neighborhood, which, by the way, she's going to lose that battle. It's going to be everywhere. Well, 5G is something that all of us should worry about, and I will tell you why here in a minute. So 5G is under a certain frequency, right? We all know that it's a different frequency. Well, I think I figured out what the real purpose of it is, and I'll explain. But first, I want to touch on the mark of the beast, right? People talk about it all the time. That we consider it the mark of the beast, like a barcode or a mark on our hand or a chip, which they are literally starting to put chips via syringe into people. And it says the reason I pulled this up is because it kind of pulls into it's kind of a piece on this. There are many people out there pointing to implantable microchips to fit the role of the mark of the beast. Most of the time, biblical evidence to support such claims is lacking. One may even begin to think that such support doesn't exist. But if we look closely at the Greek words directly associated with the mark of the beast, such as epi, charagma, and stigma, it becomes clear that biblical support for such a mark is very strong. Epi, looking into the language of Revelation in this series, it says, which, by the way, RFID implants, NFC payment, mark of the beast, says one of the most common claims against a microchip implant is that the mark of the beast is supposed to be on the hand or forehead and not in the hand or forehead. Do Revelation 13:16, Revelation 13:16, Revelation 14:9-10, and Revelation 24 refer to the mark in the body or on the body. The overwhelming majority of available translations opt for on. In fact, most modern versions use on, not in. In contrast, all early versions from 1380 to 1833 side with in. That includes Wycliffe's Bible, Tyndale's, Cloverdale's, the Bishop's Bible, the Geneva Bible, and much beloved King James Version, Wesley's Bible, and finally Webster's Bible. It's not easy to discard the work of very early Christian martyrs or the 54 scholars who painstakingly translated the King James Version by committee, as well as the work of a wordsmith, Noah Webster, a man who single-handedly wrote his own dictionary. It would be foolish to write off such faith and dedication in favor of a modern versions who paid translators didn't have the foresight to see how in could actually make sense. So basically, they took the word. According to Strong's Concordance, both in and on are valid translations of the Greek word epi. And first thing I think of is like EpiPen, which you basically stick it in. Epi's many definitions include into, in a place, and among, all of which perfectly describe the placement of a modern-day RFID implants, such as Applied Digital Solutions' VeriChip. The microchips are easily injected into the body in a place of the hand or forehead and remains among the flesh. The syringe will also leave a puncture mark on the surface of the skin, which may even scar depending on the size and shape of the puncture. Now wait, this is why all of this is going to come together. Trust me. Payment watches and rings would also be considered on the wrist. Phones, which are now capable of secure payments via NFC technology, could be considered in the hand. Any of these technologies could fulfill the requirement of the mark of the beast to buy and sell. But only an injected microchip will prevent loss or theft. Right? So if you get it injected, nobody can steal it, this and that, right? Strong's definition of among really starts to make sense when one considers the patent biobond coating that enables the surrounding tissues to fuse with an otherwise smooth glass capsule. Biobond was a solution to the problem of RFID chips migrating when implanted under the skin of household pets. This coating makes the microchip implants very difficult to remove without surgery. In other words, like the very chip, the mark of the beast is likely to remain permanently once implanted. Now, all of the words. Now, this goes farther into it. I highly recommend if you want to go into this. I believe we're going to have the... Okay, so there's more to this. So the mark of a pointed instrument, a tattoo mark brand. So here's where this gets trippy. So people are really doing this, like the Digital Solutions Very chip. But check this out. 5G, which is at a very certain signal. What this is actually a MIT paper, right? This is on what they are using and what's about to happen with gaming, right? It says minding the billions ultra-wideband localization for deployed RFID tags. Now, I won't read this whole thing, but what this basically says and how they can use RFID chips is if you had them all over you, you could basically have a virtual reality which would be able to track your movements in real time. Now, get this though. So an RFID chip, the reason why, basically if you think of what an RFID chip is, if you take a card, right? Say you take a card with an RFID chip, this doesn't have it, but use it as an example. The RFID chip, when you put it up to, say, a door, like a pass door, that door is actually sending power, switching it on, and then what is happening is it is switching the chip on, sending power there and through. What this diagram actually shows is that you can switch it on, and it will stay on, and it will send messages through. Just like, basically the whole problem is why they couldn't constantly track the RFID is because they need something to power it and keep power continuously through it. Well, 915 megahertz, which is the same thing they're going to use for this technology, is part of the 5G spectrum. So what this means is that they can actually use this 5G to permanently keep this thing powered and track your movements no matter where you go. It says the high power signal, I'll go, and I'm sorry I kept it on full screen for so long, but if you look at this, the high power signal goes in, and if you see that little red square right here, that it basically turns it on. The backscatter goes back. Then you have the low power signal, turns it on. This is a normal thing. Low power, gate does not power up and switch. It goes, no response from RFID. In the new 5G, they will be able to power it continuously and track it constantly. So no matter what kind you have, whether it's just the one on your credit card, just the one on your phone, or just the one implanted in your hand, which people are doing, they will be able to track and power this thing continuously. They will literally, I mean, this is the new step. This is the new step to tracking each and every one of us. This is 100% where this technology is going. And I believe this is a giant part of what they are doing with 5G. This is a side effect of faster internet, which we have had people that have shown that 4G, what the current system that we have that does not hit this megahertz, which cannot hit this megahertz, they actually can hold back speeds. We could all have faster speeds on our current system, but our current system will not power an RFID constantly, say in your pocket or in your hand. This thing will be able to track, and then they are going to put it in so many different products. You're talking about a virtual world. And then when Skynet goes live, which, by the way, if you don't know, Skynet is not just only in Terminator, it's a real thing. They are going to connect the Internet of Things, your toasters, your smart fridges, your smart everything. I mean, literally, they've gotten to the point where now they have cameras inside the fridges, which actually tell your phone, tell your app, hey, you're running low on milk. Hey, you're running low on orange juice. But what they're also doing is tracking exactly what you eat, what your diet is like, what you buy the most, and then they are giving that information to others. This is one of the scariest things, and this is going to go over just like many other things in this world. People are just going to let it happen. But this is real. This is them, how they are turning on and keeping it powered. You see, if RFID is just there, it's not necessarily that bad. It has to have a power source. It's not just permanently on. In this wavelength, which I guarantee you, I haven't heard anybody talk about this. I've heard that, we're talking about stronger megahertz than what can make water move or the blood in our body. But I have not heard people say that this is in the range that can actually permanently power these RFIDs. See, what this is actually talking about, this big thing, is basically saying how they will be able to track every single movement permanently for virtual reality. So you will be able to be in a virtual world and they'll be able to track everything. But that admits that in the 5G spectrum is a permanent power for an RFID tracking system, which we already have in almost every chip. Isn't it funny that all the cards said it was to protect you and every single debit card now has to have it? And some places won't even take it if it doesn't take the chip. And now several states are already talking about it. Some states have started, and people say it's a convenience factor. They'll be able to get into their work. They can pay with their wrist. They can do everything. They have it actually implanted. And this is the same technology that's powered by this. So I can't stress how important this is. And this is big. This is admitted in an MIT paper that this is basically in the wavelength of the 5G. And I think it's specifically for the RFID purpose. This is a whole new level. And remember, just recently we stopped, they said that they are going to stop the current system of recording phone calls. Why? Who knows? Maybe it's because they have a better system. Now they're going to be able to bounce off. They will actually be able to get sound waves from different things pinging off of your appliances, from your smart devices, your phones. And now they're coming out with Li-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that actually comes from an LED light. It sends different pulses. You can actually get faster internet from a light, an actual LED light, than you can from your Wi-Fi router. That's the future. That's something that is going to happen. So you're under a street light, that's going to be Li-Fi. If you're in the mall bathroom, those big old LED bulbs, that's going to be your internet. And what else it's doing is it's going to communicate between you and your RFID, and it's all going to be under this 5G spectrum. So I think this is a big deal. And feel free to call in about this, but I think we are one of few that is talking about this, so this definitely needs to be spread. This is going to be a big deal. And down the way, people are going to realize what this whole thing is really for. It's not even partial tracking. Like, this is literally tracking your every single move. And it's going to be easy. With Skynet, it's actually going to make it easy to literally control anybody and everybody. And speaking of the helicopter, we have inside information on that event, and we cannot give it here on the show. So we are specifically telling you, if you would like to know the real story on that helicopter, we can give you that at the alerts. All you have to do is go to marfooglenews.com and sign up for alerts in the upper right-hand corner. You may also, at that point, join Discord if you'd like and get into one of the 50 state groups that we have for prepping and for getting to know each other, or even country groups if you're in Australia or France or Mexico or any of the other states that we have set up for you, so you can meet other like-minded people and talk about prepping and talk about what you guys would do in the event if an SHTF event happened. And it's absolutely free. That's the awesome part.
You want to know what's going on? What's really going on when it happens? Go to marfooglenews.com and get Marfoogle alerts along with a Discord invitation where you can find your local state group and get together with the Foogle Fam. You'll find fast friends where you'll share prep and intel, and there's even special groups for former and current military. But don't try and steal the valor of those who have really served. It won't go well for you. The Marfoogle Fam is waiting for you.